At 9 a.m. on May 15, 2008, my wife Gina went into labor while we were at work. Contractions were close and really intense. This left us no time to get back home to labor there as we had planned. We had to get to the hospital immediately. We made it to the hospital quickly and were checked into the maternity ward immediately. Labor was up and down for hours, but good progress was made. We knew this because Gina and I had educated ourselves. We learned all we could about natural birth, husband-coached birth, non-intervention birth, and so on. We researched, read all the books we could get our hands on, and we hired a doula, which is trained labor support. We were prepared to have a natural birth. This was the birth of our second child. The birth of our first child, our son Jonas, ended in an unnecessary C-section. This wasn't going to happen again. We weren't going in blind this time, and we were not going to allow the doctor to dictate what was going to happen. So, just as we expected, about 9 hours into labor, our doctor came in and told us it was time to consider augmenting her labor or performing another C-section. Neither option was acceptable to us. My wife responded to his suggestion by requesting to be left alone, asking for no further interruptions by staff so she could place her focus back on labor and keep things going in the right direction. The doctor said her focus had nothing to do with it, and it's likely that it wasn't possible for her body to progress any further. Thanks to all the work we put into getting educated, plus the added support of our doula, we knew the doctor's information was bunk. So, we continued on against the doctor's suggestions without any augmentation. Gina, our doula, and I reconvened, and we got focused on creating a comfortable, positive atmosphere with hopes that labor would pick back up again. It did. By the next morning, the doctor confirmed more progress was made. Later that morning, our doctor returned again and then insisted on intervention. My wife insisted on staying the course since progress was being made, but the doctor now denied that the progress made earlier was acceptable, and he said that her uterus just might not work. He said it was a failure to progress, but my wife shot back by saying it was a failure to wait. After 10 more minutes of heated argument, the doctor left. An hour later he returned, accompanied by another doctor, and claimed to have spoken with many other doctors at the hospital, as well as doctors from another hospital. They were all in agreement that there were only two options at this point: sign a consent form to have a C-section, or sign a waiver of liability relieving the hospital of any responsibility for what may happen to the mother or baby. Gina knew her rights and signed nothing. They had no right to force this. Our doctor was harassing us and trying to force my wife into doing something she didn't want. He even tried to push me into submission by spouting off statistics about what may go wrong. And he also said that Gina's actions were going to lead to a baby born with cerebral palsy. When it came down to it, thanks to our research again, we knew the baby was healthy and there was no need for concern. The only concern was we were dealing with a doctor without reservations about arguing with and badgering a woman in labor. I could see in my wife's eyes the pain he was causing, so I took him outside for a talk. The doctor had no understanding, care, or respect for what we wanted. On the inside, I was furious. All I could see was red. But on the outside, I was scared and nervous. Keeping in mind everything that was important, I calmly made it clear no forms would be signed, and he was to leave us alone. He was the one causing all the tension, and it was time for him to back off. Finally, he cracked and admitted the baby was indeed fine, and he would leave us be. Soon, the mood in the room shifted, and things picked back up again. Contractions resumed, and they were getting intense. Progress was once again underway. A few short hours later, Gina was ready to push. The room transformed and readied for delivery, and the staff was prepared in an instant. It wasn't long before our son, Jules Michael, was born naturally on Friday evening, March 16th at 10 p.m., 38 hours after labor had started. The most telling point of the entire evening happened a few moments after Jules was born. The doctor said to us, "Well, I missed my daughter's birthday party." That explains it all, I guess. The overall point here is not to demonize doctors or hospitals. It's simply to illustrate that an education is empowering. Don't be quick to place your fate in someone else's hands. No one has your best interests in mind more than yourself. Never forget, knowledge truly is power.